Welcome to The Explainer, where we break down the big ideas shaping our world. Today, we're talking about something called the AIOps revolution. It's all about how AI is stepping in to tame the absolute chaos of modern IT, bringing some much-needed control to the table.
All right, so let's start with a feeling we all know way too well. You're right in the middle of buying something online, or you're trying to stream the season finale, and poof, the site's down. It's super frustrating for you and me, right? Well, for the companies running those services, it's an absolute nightmare.
And when I say nightmare, I'm not exaggerating one bit. I mean, look at this number. For a lot of big companies, just one single hour of that application being down can cost them over $500,000. That's insane, right? In today's world where everything is digital, being reliable isn't just a nice to have. It's literally everything.
So, why does it feel like this is happening all the time now? Well, it's because the technology behind the scenes has gotten unbelievably complex. Think about it. It's this massive web of cloud servers, microservices, all these little pieces talking to each other. So when something goes wrong, trying to find the root cause, it's literally like trying to find a needle in a haystack, in the dark.
And that crazy complexity means the old ways of doing things just don't cut it anymore. We're seeing this huge shift away from what we used to call monitoring. Monitoring was all about asking what broke. A server is down, CPU is high. It was reactive. The new way is something called observability. And this is a total game changer because it lets us ask why it broke. It helps us hunt down those weird, never-seen-before problems and be proactive about it.
So what exactly is this observability thing? How does it work? Well, think of it like this. It's all about flipping the lights on and finally being able to see what's actually happening deep inside these incredibly complicated systems.
Okay, so here's the core idea. True observability means you can ask any question about what your system is doing, even questions you didn't think to ask ahead of time. It's not about staring at a bunch of pre-made dashboards, hoping the right metric turns red. It's about having data that's so rich and detailed that you can explore, you can dig in, and you can figure out totally unexpected problems as they happen.
And this amazing visibility is built on what we call the 3 pillars. First up, you've got logs. Think of these as super detailed diaries of every single event that happens. Then you have metrics. These are the numbers, right? CPU usage, memory, that kind of stuff. And this is the really cool one, you have traces. A trace follows one single request, like you clicking Buy Now, on its entire journey through that whole complex web. Put them all together, and you get the full story.
But here's the catch, and it's a big one. Those 3 pillars, they produce an absolute tsunami of data. We're talking more data than any team of humans could possibly sift through. So it's great to have all that information, but how in the world do you make sense of it fast enough to matter? Well, this is where AI makes its grand entrance.
And that brings us to AIOps, which stands for AI for IT operations. You can basically think of it as the super smart brain that sits on top of all that observability data. It uses machine learning to cut through all the noise, spot patterns a human would never ever catch, and basically turn that overwhelming flood of data into, hey, look here, this is the thing you need to fix.
And AIOps comes with some serious superpowers. We're talking about things like anomaly detection, so it can spot weird behavior the second it starts. It can do event correlation, which is huge. It takes hundreds of screaming alerts and groups them into one single actual problem. It helps with root cause analysis to pinpoint the source, and it can even do predictive analytics to warn you about failures before they happen. And in some cases, it can just go ahead and fix the problem for you automatically.
So if you're trying to figure out how these two things work together, it's actually really simple. Think of it like this. Observability gives you all the pieces to a million-piece jigsaw puzzle. It's the raw material. AIOps is the genius that comes along and assembles the entire picture for you in like 2 seconds.
Okay, this all sounds great, right? But just buying a new tool isn't the magic answer. You really need a smart strategy to make this work. Because trust me, there are some really common and very expensive traps that a lot of companies fall right into.
And probably the biggest trap of them all is something people call the Frankenstack. You know what I'm talking about. It's what happens when different teams all buy their own favorite tools over the years, and you end up stitching them all together into this monster. It's clunky, it's inefficient, and worst of all, it creates massive blind spots where you just can't see what's going on. And this isn't some rare thing either. Get this, over half of all companies are trying to manage 6 or more different tools. It's a mess.
And that's exactly why you see that 70% of them are now desperately trying to consolidate and just simplify their setup.
So this brings pretty much every company to a huge fork in the road. It's the classic build versus buy debate. Do you build your own system using all the amazing open source tools out there? That gives you total flexibility, but man, it takes a ton of time and serious engineering talent. Or do you buy a commercial platform that gives you all the advanced features right out of the box, but, comes with those licensing fees? There's no one right answer here. It's a massive strategic decision for any company.
But at the end of the day, all this tech, all this strategy, it's all for nothing if it doesn't deliver real results, right? So let's talk about the bottom line. What's the actual measurable business impact when you get this right? Because honestly, the numbers are pretty staggering.
Yeah, just look at this chart. The difference is just, wow. For companies that are just starting out, that are still considered beginners in observability, the average annual cost of downtime is almost $24 million. But look at the companies that have mature practices in place. That number plummets all the way down to $2.5 million.
I mean, that's a nearly 90% drop in the financial damage from outages. We're talking tens of millions of dollars saved every single year, just by getting better at seeing what's going on inside your own systems.
And it's not just about saving money on outages. This stuff is a powerful investment. The research consistently shows a median return of 2 to 1. For every dollar you put into a solid observability strategy, you get $2 back in value. Usually within the first year. It absolutely pays for itself. But numbers are one thing. Let's make this real with a quick story. So picture this. It's a massive e-commerce company, and it's Black Friday, the single most important day of their entire year. And deep inside their systems, their AIOps platform spots a tiny database issue that, in just a few minutes, is going to crash the entire checkout service.
So what happened? Before a single engineer even got an alert, the system automatically and intelligently rerouted all the customer traffic to a healthy backup, completely avoiding the crash. Not one single customer even knew there was a problem. The payoff? An estimated $1.2 million in sales saved from that one event. And just as importantly, they protected their brand's reputation and all that customer trust they'd built.
This quote from an expert really just nails it. They said, before an incident was like finding a needle in a haystack in the dark. Now the system turns the lights on and even hands us the needle. It's a total transformation, moving teams from panicked searching to having a system that literally points them to the answer.
And that brings us to a really interesting final thought. As we see AI and automation take over more and more of this routine firefighting, what does that mean for people? It frees up our smartest engineers from doing the tedious, reactive work. So the real question is, what are the next big, innovative, game-changing problems we're going to solve when our most valuable asset, that incredible human ingenuity, is finally set free?